new series on Amazon Prime called My Lady Jane just dropped. I'm going to be talking about it. No spoilers, as skirting around some story arc moments as I can to keep it spoiler friendly. But let's talk about My Lady Jane. History's most tragic heroines, but reimagined with an uplifting twist. The damsel in distress saves herself and then the kingdom. So this is one of those looks at when people change history to make the outcome what they wish it was. It's complete fantasy. Literally has fantastical creatures in the series. If you've seen Bridgerton, where many demographics of people are represented in this time, which wouldn't have been the case, which wasn't the case, and that irritates you, then you're not gonna like this. Especially with we've had Netflix do like the damsel in distress movie with the dragon. 11 from Stranger Things was the main character in that, and we saw what the damsel, not a particularly good movie, but we saw what it is. And the current state of where we're living in, this is now popular to do, to give women the protagonist role, the character they're playing, change up what history did or what history said for those characters, and that's fine. If you're taking this as this should be historical fact, that's not what this is at all. From the creators or the writers are from Bridgerton, one of them at least. Here we have the lady that became queen for 7 or 8 days, and then she was beheaded. And we take that bit of history in that time. We mix in a bit of Bridgerton, all demographics of characters and acting. We take in modern music, and then we take in modern language as well for the most part. Mix that in with the timey-wimey stuff that we've got going on here. And then add in fantastical magical creatures, I guess you would call them animorphs. You get an amalgamation of something that's a bit fresh, a bit weird, and definitely will piss some people off. Now for me, I thought it was a lot of fun, and it hit its mark, what it was trying to do most of the time. Not all of the time. Some of the time I thought it was cheesy. Some of the dialogue really kind of just going, oh, that's just not great. But what they were trying to do is bring a freshness to a story that we know in history, and then just make it their own. So you have the drama, love triangles. You have the woman that is going to be married off, and she doesn't want to be married off, but in order to protect her family, she needs to marry this person and look after the kingdom. Thrust into a place of power, almost not on purpose, but in a way that is plausible for this kind of story writing. It is tongue-in-cheek and a bit off the wall and totally farcical in the best sense. So if you go in with the frame of mind that this is non-historically accurate at all, from the way they wear their timey-wimey clothes, from the way they speak with the dialogue, from the music, all of that is like an experience of Shondaland with magical creatures. Now for me, the creatures part was where I was most interested in. I thought the lore and the interesting kind of mix mash of stories there was fun. There's a lot of great actors in this. They really have fun with their parts, with the parts that they've been given. You got Emily Bader, who plays Lady Jane Grey, and thinks she is quite hilarious, but also boisterous and strong, and that's what they were going for in that lead. She carries the role fairly well. Edward Blumel, who plays Lord Guilford Dudley, I think he's great in this. Really is the counter to Lady Jane Grey. I think he has a lot of presence on screen. You have Anna Chancellor, who is the mother, Lady Frances Grey, who's trying to always wrangle her rebellious daughter. And Rob Brydon, who's Lord Dudley, who's just hilarious. Not squeamish, what would you say? He's like a snake maybe, but not like terrible, but always worming his way in. A wheeler dealer weasel is probably more accurate. Brilliant on screen. There are so many great actors in this. Dominic Cooper, I love to hate his character in this. The list goes on. There is literally a cornucopia of fantastic actors, and that's partly why this series works so well. It's because the caliber of actors that they have, even though the scripting is different for the time period, even though the music is different for the time period, even though the way they walk and talk and what they wear, like, it's sort of accurate in parts. but they just have fun with the period, change up history, do something different. So if you're looking for something that's light-hearted, fun, romantic, stupid action scenes, stupid drama triangles, and yet we have the damsel no longer in distress, the damsel will save herself, that is the theme, that women don't need anybody apart from themselves, then I guess this will be your cup of tea. I enjoyed it for what it was. It's not something I'm eager to go back to. I'm going to give it 3 Nicolas Cages out of 5.
You got one.
I think it's just fun. It knows what it is. It doesn't try to not say, hey, this is what our storyline is. I think everybody does a good job with what they're given, and I like the fantastical part of it. So that's a really superficial review, because I didn't want to go into some of those character moments that will give away some of the story arcs and beats. There's a lot that goes on within each episode, which is great, because that kept me hooked, because it could have just been drawn out. But there are a lot of moving pieces. The more we get into the story of a sort of rebel alliance, that gets more interesting, that I was being able to be hooked with where the arc and the story was going. But for the most part, had I not had that fantastical element to it, I think I might have tapped out earlier, because I like Bridgerton, but I feel like Bridgerton has a reason for what it's doing. This just felt like they wanted to have fun, and that's okay, but I don't know that it needed to exist like that. Does that make sense? Love to hear your thoughts on this. Did you like this a lot? Do you like the characters? What do you think about what they're doing with history and changing up everything and having people of all classes and demographics being in this time period? So it's not accurate at all. And I'm just trying to skate around for those people that know or have seen Bridgerton will understand what I'm talking about. It's fun. And that's all I needed. I didn't need to switch on my brain for this. Thanks so much for watching, but most of all, until next time, remember, live long and Tuesday.